Welcome back, guys, to yet another session of APM questions. Today, again, we'll be focusing on two questions. One is Roan University and SAW University, and then there is Briac Company. Okay, so let's see question 31 first. This is again from the exam kit. Okay, it is now 1st of September 2005. Respond to RSU Management Board's request for work on the following areas: managing and measuring performance in the RSU joint venture, performance measures for all the stakeholder groups. ठीक है. Appendix 1 stakeholder analysis, they have already trying to do that for you. Okay, and what is the first question? Managing and measuring performance in the RSU joint venture. Let's have a look at that. Roan University is based in Thailand, which is a developed country. The government has of Thailand has stated that it will cut part of funding to the for the university and has made it clear that Roan must develop new replacement income streams. Roan will remain state owned. SAW University is based in Deland, which has a developing economy. I'm sure this has some relevance. Deland is a developed country and Deland is a developing country, which is culturally different to Deland. SOU's funding is from the government of Deland and this funding is secure for the foreseeable future. Okay, so if you want to make rough notes, Roan, developed country. ठीक है. Government planning to cut funding. You need to develop. Let me just put it here. You need to explore more revenue streams. New revenue streams. ठीक है. And SOW. This is a developing country and government funding to continue. These seem, like I believe these points might have a bearing on the final answer. Let's see. The government of Deland has indicated that it wants the university to develop joint ventures and alliances with universities in developed countries. Roan and SAW have recently entered into a JV to set up a new university in Deland. The new university is called RS University. Roan and SAW each own 50% of the JV and a new purpose-built campus has been constructed. RSU will welcome students within 3 months. Details of the joint venture. Roan and SAW have established a joint management board to manage the long-term and short-term operations. MB's membership, management board's membership, is 50% from each uni plus at least one government representative from Dealand. The management board meets at least 3 times per annum, and the position of the chairman on the MB rotates between Roan and SAW on a meeting by meeting basis. The MB have asked you as a performance measurement expert to assist them with some task. ठीक है. So membership board, ठीक है. Membership is 50% from each university, 50% from Roan and 50% from SOW. 3 meetings per year, 3 meetings per annum. ठीक है. Then उसके बाद position of chairman rotates between Roan and SAW. Chairman post alternatively between Roan and SAW. See, when you're doing rough work, you can write just beat, save time that way. Now, Roan has stated that its aim for the joint venture RSU is to internationally expand our provision and lead educational developments in the global arena by enhancing our revenue streams from innovative sources. SAW, however, has made it clear that it will view the success of RSU by the quality of graduates who are produced and by the contribution these graduates make to society. ठीक है. So Roan has a different perspective on the JV. SOW has a different perspective. What is that? Internationally expand provision and lead educational development in the global arena by enhancing our revenue streams from innovative sources. ठीक है. More revenue from innovative sources. ठीक है. Then expand internationally. and yeah, innovation जो भी है. Sao University will focus on quality of graduates and con- contribution to society. Now, this seems like such a noble thought. We all know it doesn't work. Contribution of grads to society. ठीक है. Sao is keen that Roan sends as many home-based staff from Teelan to teach at RSU. Acha, this joint venture is going to be in which country? Dealand.
The
ठीक.
deal end.
So, joint venture in Dealand, which is developing economy. ठीक है. Okay. Sao is keen that Roan sends as many home-based staff from Teelan to teach at RSU in Dealand as is possible, but Roan would prefer to recruit local staff in Dealand to undertake its teaching obligations. Roan's teaching staff have voiced concerns about the extensive travel involved to teach at RSU and have also indicated that their work at Roan is likely to suffer if they teach at RSU. Specifically, they feel that they would not be able to effectively undertake their teaching duties research activities or supervision of students at Roan. Negotiations are currently taking place between the teachers' trade union, which Roan staff belong to, and management at Roan, which could result in all teaching staff refusing to teach at RSU. ठीक है. What are some of the challenges? Long story short, employees are rebelling. है ना? You don't need to write the full story, but employees are in rebellious mode. The management board would like you to discuss the problem that will be encountered when managing and measuring performance in the RSU joint venture. There has been some criticism in the local community in Teelan. A parent of one of the students studying at Roan has written on behalf of a newly formed public pressure group to the local newspaper saying, all the attention at Roan is on this inappropriate JV. My son was told that he could not receive any help or guidance as the staff who could help him were all overseas helping with the development of RSU. Why does it sound so familiar to my life? Anyway, his exam results were 3 weeks late as there were no one to mark the exams. Classic. This is not acceptable. Roan should exist to educate Teelan students primarily. Everything else is secondary. Membership of the public pressure group is growing. Roan has undertaken an analysis of its stakeholders using Mendelow's matrix. Part of this work is supplied in Appendix 1, along with justifications for categorization of the three stakeholder group. For each of the stakeholder groups, the management board would like you to justify an appropriate performance measure which could be used by Roan. Now, 14 marks के लिए they have asked you managing and measuring performance in the RSU joint venture. Now, how do we decide, first of all, कि in this whatever joint venture that we are talking about, how should you measure performance? उसके लिए their expectation is request for work on the following areas managing and measuring performance. Look at the last two paragraphs. The management board would like you to discuss the problems that will be encountered when managing and measuring performance on the RSU joint venture. Now, if I were to ask you, uh, what do you believe are some of the likely problems that you could encounter? तो आप क्या बोलेंगे? If this situation is presented in front of you, you want to manage and measure performance, what are some of the points that are coming to your mind when it comes to performance measurement? Yes, Ayush, बताइए.
Sir, firstly, the objective of both the universities is not aligning for the
हम्म.
joint venture to work
हम्म.
because Roan University is not getting funding from the government from the next year. And
हम्म.
their major objective is shifting from, providing quality education or the impact in the society to make more innovative revenue streams because money would be a major financial factor, would be major driving force for them. On the other hand, the other university is getting good funding from the government, and their objective is very clear when they said that they would want to produce graduates
हम्म.
which can contribute in the society. So the the fundamental problem is their goals are not aligning. And second is obviously very clear that the Roan University would like to send as many home-based uh, employees from TLEN, and the other university would want that they hire from DLEND itself. So
Okay.
that is a problem.
Okay, fair enough. Yukta, what do you perceive as a problem here? See, understand the question. Okay. The question is problems that will be encountered while managing and measuring performance. Okay. What else do you think?
So also the chairman is keeping on changing like after every 4 months. So maybe the decision which suppose Rowan's chairman will take. So decision normally we should take for the long term basis. But as the chairman keeps on changing on regular, like after every 4 months, so
Hmm.
it might be difficult to follow a particular decision which it is taken up in each of the meetings.
Okay. Okay. Urvaksh, anything from you?
The quality of the students that are admitted into the joint venture, uh, uh, their performance, because one wants the impact of the students in the society, whereas the other might keep taking in students to increase their revenue.
Okay. Okay. So let's start point by point. Let's start with the first issue, which is the fact that the two entities का जो objective है, जो goal है, that goal is not aligned. ठीक है? And that will create a problem in doing two things, managing and measuring performance. ठीक है? So let's start with that. I'll again create the skeleton for your answer. ठीक है? So part A, problems in managing and measuring performance. Let us first of all describe the issue at hand, or the problem statement as we often call it. What is the problem statement? Both universities have different aims, right? Both unis have different goals slash aims. Okay, let me give it a broader heading. Establishing common objectives. ठीक है? The problem statement is both unis have different aims, which is creating conflict, है ना? Creating conflict. Another issue is that we have not established clear objectives and goals for the RSU joint venture. It is quite possible that the two co-venturers have different aims when they are operating on a standalone basis. But when you are operating a joint venture, you should have defined those clear objectives at the beginning, which has not happened. Okay. Clear objectives need to be defined for the joint venture, which has not happened. ठीक है? ये है आपका मेन प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट. देन व्हाट यू शुड डू इज यू शुड राइट डाउन रोन्स ऑब्जेक्टिव्स. ठीक है? सी आई एम राइटिंग Roan's objectives and Saw's objectives next to each other. In the exam, please write it one below the other. Don't write it next to each other. Okay. Up when I'm talking about Roan's objectives, talk about the main purpose, generate a new revenue stream, financial return expected. है ना? Focus on maximizing the financial return. Core performance areas are again from a resource utilization perspective, from a finance perspective. ठीक है? Main focus. What is the main focus? Generate new revenue streams. ठीक है? Maximize returns and performance focus on. I think we are focusing on again maximizing the financial returns. So finance and resource utilization. See, The reason why I'm saying they are focusing on resource utilization is that they want to send, they are okay sending their staff to the other country and making sure that the staff is well utilized for all the purpose. Nobody is sitting idle, so to say. है ना? So the focus is on profitability, focus is on resource utilization, focus is on the financial metrics and the financial parameters. साउ कंपनी का ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है? एनहांस रेप्यूटेशन एंड एकेडमिक स्टेटस, राइट? इसको क्या चाहिए? क्वालिटी ऑफ ग्रेजुएट्स चाहिए, कंट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ ग्रेड्स टू सोसाइटी. इट इज लुकिंग एट दीज टू पॉइंट्स. सो मेन फोकस quality of education, then contribution to society, correct? And the focus again, they are trying to work on quality, reputation, and other contribution. So, performance focus on quality, reputation, credibility, etc. इनका focus profit नहीं है, इनका focus something else. Now, financial versus social aims, financial versus academic aims, that can be contradictory. You can either focus on getting enrolled as many students as possible, regardless of their quality and what they are able to deliver for the university and also and for the society as well. You are looking at getting as many students as possible because reaching out to more people is more important than the quality of candidates who are enrolling. When that happens, it lowers the educational quality, I'm sure, and it harms the objective of getting that societal contribution in place. Now, managing performance under such divergent aims is going to be a complex activity, and it will create a room for a lot of conflict, so to say. Okay, now let's write that down in terms of the alignment of goals. Okay, so conflict between objectives. This is what you have to build on. Financial aims versus educational, societal aims are contradictory. ठीक है, ये एक पार्ट हो गया. Then finance focus. What does it lead to? Lower education quality, because you would want to bring in teachers who work at a cheaper rate and all of that. So वो आएगा. And harms RSUs, societal contribution aim. ये भी एक issue है. And managing performance when objectives slash aims are so divergent from each other will present a challenge. Now, this is an answer that ideally I want you to build on. So, when you answer this question or when you answer this particular subpart, describe each in detail. Talk about the problem statement. Then, when you are describing Roan, mention what is the main focus, what is the performance focus on. Do the same thing for SAO. And for this, the detail that is given to you here in details of joint venture, that will help you to frame your answer better. There is no harm and no issue in copying some sentences as it is from this part of the answer. For example, you can state that for Roan, the objective is international expansion and leading educational developments by enhancing our revenue streams from innovative sources. Then you, of course, describe that in a little more detail, that it is seeking to make a financial return from this joint venture. It will be focusing on maximizing the return, and it will focus on that objective, and maybe other objectives like quality of education might get ignored. Sao, on the other hand, has a very different objective when it is running an educational setup, it wants to enhance, or it wants to project itself as, a leading educational institute renowned for learning and, contributing to society, so on and so forth. So mention that in a little more detail. What I have done here is I have given you the skeleton, then you develop that, then you again come back to the fact that the two objectives of the co-venturers are not in line with each other, and then say that managing performance when the aims are so divergent from each other will present the challenge. Okay? Yes, Ayush.
So two more points. I was going through the question. So it is mentioned that both the management board will have
Hmm,
membership from both the universities, 50-50% each,
hmm, hmm, hmm,
which can further, create a problem because nobody has the deciding authority until unless both the parties agree to something,
hmm.
which would result in delayed decision making and in the long run can be counterproductive for the university and the students' development. Secondly,
Hmm,
only a government representative from D-Land
hmm,
is required in the board,
hmm.
which shows that D-Land government might have more influence
Okay.
towards.
Is he frozen or is my network gone?
Hello, hello,
That's frozen.
Okay, huh.
hello.
Ayush, you are frozen.
Uh, Sir, am I audible now?
Now, yes.
हाँ तो essentially only D-Land government employee is required on the board, which can potentially indicate towards the D-Land government being more involved in the joint venture and can lobby the Roan University employees or the management to
Hmm.
make some unfavorable decisions. Can that be included?
It is a very good point, but it has to be the next point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not
Huh.
the same point, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is going to be the next point, that A, there is no stable leadership, right? And again, different leaders putting their own perspective. See, you have a rotational chairman, है ना? In one meeting, I am there. In the second meeting, it's from the other entity. So very clearly, you don't have leadership from the same university, right? And the decisions can keep on changing at every meeting. And see, this point has to be linked to the previous one, that unless all the aims and goals and objectives are pre-decided, it will keep on changing at every meeting, because each leader, or each person who is appointed as the chairman will would want to work according to the goals and objectives of his university and disregard the entire aim of the joint venture. It is still okay if only one person or member from one university stays on the board throughout, but ये जो बार बार you are trying to change, that is what is creating a bigger problem. ठीक है? So let's build on that. I would call this point as lack of stable leadership. ठीक है? Let's mention why are we saying that there is no stable leadership. ठीक है?
Sir,
So
apologies to cut you, but sir, in this specifically, they've just asked us to, discuss the problems that will be encountered.
hmm,
But do we also give suggestions at the end, like we think that Ron membership
I think
management
you have
should.
asked the question and answered it yourself. What have they asked you? Would like you to discuss the problems that will be encountered when managing and
Correct.
measuring performance. Have they asked you to come up with recommendations and
No,
solutions?
no, correct, correct, correct. Sorry, मैंने वापस पढ़ लिया.
हाँ,
Correct.
जो पूछा नहीं है वो करने का भी नहीं. It's basically the old English saying, speak when you are spoken to वाला approach है. Answer only what is asked, not what you think you should be doing in that situation. That is where people lose marks in APM or SBL or AAA. They add their own extra tadka to everything. पूछा ही नहीं है ना. And see what happens in that process is, maybe you will stay aligned for the first point. By the time you are on the third or fourth point, you have completely forgotten that you have to talk about problems that are encountered. You are only giving solutions, right? So avoid doing that. So फर्स्ट प्रॉब्लम इज रोटेशनल चेयरमैनशिप, है ना? व्हाट विल हैपन? सो chairman of the MB changes alternatively from one meeting to the next. The reason I wrote this point is, the language that I have written here, if you use these words, this is very casual language. Don't do this. This is a big no from my end and from ACCA's end. ये casual language है. आप मुझसे बात नहीं कर रहे हो ना? You're not talking to me. Changes from one meeting to next क्या है? So this is something that you shouldn't do. When you are framing the answer, make sure that rotational chairmanship of management board creates a situation of unstable leadership. Understand who are you talking to and what stage of your professional journey you are in. What are you in this case? You are a performance management expert. And who are you addressing this entire note to? You are addressing it to the management board, na? So do you feel the need to explain them कि rotational leadership का meaning क्या है? You're not talking to fifth standard students and telling them, you know what Ayush, rotational leadership is एक meeting में मैं leader, दूसरे meeting में तू leader. Though that is what rotational leadership means, hence it is a problem. No, just mentioning rotational leadership is also enough to fetch marks. If you do that, you run two risks. Your language becomes extremely casual, which you cannot afford to do because there are marks allocated for communication skills in section A, and throughout they will check the tone of your answer. Second, you end up over explaining and wasting time in the paper, which means you are not able to complete the paper. Don't do that. The people reading your answer are educated individuals. They know what they are talking about, right? So just mention that. I'm just going to put a strike through so that you don't do it. Write down rotational chairman of management board, rotational chairman of management board, no stable leadership. Each chairman would try to push the agenda / objectives of their respective university. ठीक है? Each chairman would try to push the agenda objectives of their respective university and not work for objectives / goals of the JV. Also, decision is likely to be overturned in the next meeting, है ना? Because next meeting में नया chairman आएगा, so he will suggest something else. So without a common mutually acceptable goal, the direction will be inconsistent. Without a common mutually acceptable and agreed upon goal, direction will be inconsistent. ठीक है? अब ये तो एक पार्ट हो गया रोटेशनल लीडरशिप. Then the board composition issue. See, ऐसे तो you are saying it's 50-50, but that one government official that you mentioned, don't you think the scale is tilting in favor of Sao University because the government official is from their country, right? Again, Roan is likely to lose influence and control over key decisions. And if you don't have a control over the decision or how the activity is done, how can we use the outcome of that activity to judge your performance? Right? Isn't that unfair on you? So, measuring performance and then holding someone accountable also becomes a bit of a challenge. Okay. So, let's talk about board composition issue. Okay. So, participation from members of each university is 50-50. But at least one representative from Dealand government is to be appointed. When this is done, the scales tip in favor of Sao University. Roan University, or rather, let me write just Roan. Roan likely to lose influence and control over key decisions. Roan likely to lose influence and control over key decisions, right? And again, it creates difficulty on how performance is measured and managed. Creates difficulty with respect to how performance is measured and managed. Okay, this is about leadership or decision making. This was about objectives. This is about leadership and decision making. एक बार check करो and tell me if there is something that you want to add. Then I'll take you to the question again. वहां से देख के बताना. ठीक है, once you are done reading, let me know. I'll go back to the question. ठीक है, अब so you have looked at two specific issues. Is there one more issue here that you believe could be could be a reason for difficulty in measuring and managing performance? See, what is
Yes, sir.
yes, please tell me.
Sir, we I think have missed out on one major issue, which was like the employee willingness to work.
Mm-hmm.
So, employee willingness to work is basically both the companies want different things from like their employees. So Roan University would want D-Len teachers to teach in the university, and the other Sao University would want D-Len would want the Roan University teachers to come to D-Len and teach,
Hmm.
and that also creates a major issue in because the most important thing for any university's performance is the teachers, and they are the major drivers, and so they have to figure out how the teachers would which teachers would teach where and how would that be managed,
Mm-hmm.
and both of them have valid concerns, and the concerns for the Ron University teaching staff is also quite evident in the question, and
Hmm.
for Sao University obviously the Ron University teachers would be much more experienced, so that is why Sao University would want their teachers to teach. So we can highlight both, and
Okay.
that is creating a fundamental problem also.
Okay, okay, fair enough. Let's build on that. Again, there is one more issue that in terms of student performance, maybe there are different priorities. Roan is concerned about pass rates. Sao is concerned about getting better academic excellence and contributing to the society. So that is also the way they view education is also different, right? Which again might create difficulties in measuring performance. Now, when it comes to performance measurement itself, the two entities have a very different focus. एक तो objective अलग है वो तो हो गया. Now, when it comes to measuring performance, let's write that and then we'll include your point also. ठीक है? Measuring performance. Let's see what is the approach for Roan University. Roan University, funding cut, or trying to find out alternative revenue streams. ठीक है. So focus will be on traditional financial metrics. Examples of these are ROI, then operating surplus, fee growth, then student numbers, etc. है ना? And see, the company would not company, the university would seek short term as well as long term, but financial measures. है ना? They are likely to invest in those activities which will boost student numbers quickly. So let's write that down. Focus on financial performance indicators in short term as well as long term. ठीक है. When I talk about Sao University, what do I mention here? Right now, the funding is secure, so not driven by short-term financial needs. Funding secure for now, not running after, short-term financial needs. वो sorted है इनका because government is still helping them. Then it focuses on non-financial metrics. Focuses on non-financial metrics. What could these be? When I say non-financial metrics, quality of students admitted,
The impact they create on the society.
impact on society, then quality of education. Again, very, very intangible in that sense. है ना? And they are focused on, employment, salary outcomes, etc.
Yeah, development of the student.
Yes. Again, very, very misaligned. And that will again create problems with respect to admissions, with respect to resource allocation. है ना? Sao company may want to invest heavily in, say, for example, tech-enabled classrooms or AI-based teaching and all of that. Roan University will cheapen out in this department. Blackboard pe padhao, something as simple as that. Now, uh, divergent performance measures likely to cause following conflicts. What conflicts is it likely to cause? One could be with respect to admissions. Roan wants more number of students, higher fees. Sao wants students of a certain quality, wants students with better academic background. ठीक है? Then it will create issues with respect to resource allocation also. For example, Sao would want to invest in, say, tech, etc., to improve experience. Roan would look at cost control. सो ये जो डाइवर्जेंट परफॉर्मेंस मेजर्स है उनका जो अप्रोच अलग अलग है दैट अलग अलग अप्रोच इज ऑल्सो क्रिएटिंग प्रॉब्लम्स फॉर a first of all defining performance parameters step 1 and then measuring those and measuring that performance दोनों में it is creating a problem ठीक है so this is how the measuring performance bit will have to be tackled ठीक है then Ayush, you were mentioning something. Can you go back to that point? What was that?
Sir, about the teachers' union priorities.
Hmm.
So, so the employees or the staff would uh, of Roan University would not like to travel to Dealand and teach there, but the Sao University management would want Roan University's teacher to come to Dealand and teach in the university. Both have valid points. So, for teachers of uh, Roan University, they have mentioned that extensive travel is the first problem that they are facing,
Hmm.
and their work would also likely suffer if they teach in RSU, and they would not be able to effectively undertake the teaching duties and research activities uh, or the supervision of students of RON.
Okay. Now
So
you
that, and for Sao University management, the major point would be it is not explicitly mentioned, but Ron University is much older and is in a developed country. So the teaching methods could be more suitable for the students of RSU compared to if we hire fresh from D-Land.
okay? Okay. ठीक है. So first of all, Sao University wants staff from Roan to teach at RSU. Sao might measure performance in terms of percentage of Roan staff teaching at RSU. ठीक है. Now it has been made clear in no uncertain terms that these employees of Roan University, they don't want to go and teach at RSU because for whatever reason, staff from Roan not interested in working at RSU. Reasons आपको लिखना है इसका. ठीक है. Now, Sao wants academic excellence, whereas teachers at Roan not or teachers at Roan resisting to leave their current work and move to RSU and move of Roan teachers to RSU damage for Roan. वो भी लिखा है ना पूरा, किसी पेरेंट का, वो सब पॉइंट भी लिखा है कि दे डोंट
ये
वांट।
मैंने सर स्पेसिफिकली नहीं डाला क्योंकि आप मेरे को बोलते कि ये अगले एग्जिबिट में है और इसी एग्जिबिट में रहो। मन में तो आया था मेरे कि मैं बोल दूं।
ये मैंने इसलिए मैं नहीं बोलूंगा बिकॉज यहाँ पे ना स्पेसिफिकली बोला नहीं है कि रिस्ट्रिक्ट योर सेल्फ टू एग्जिबिट 1। वो जैसे ATX AAA ना, या इवन AFM में कहीं कहीं पे लिखा होता है, या इवन यहाँ पे भी लिखा होगा ना, रेफर टू एग्जिबिट 1 फॉर आंसरिंग दिस क्वेश्चन, तो वहां पे अटके रहना, अदरवाइज इट्स ओके। आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू यू नो पुट यू
नहीं,
ऑन ट्रायल।
पॉइंट मेरे वो मन में आया था। इट इज, मैंने इसलिए बोल दिया था कि कुछ कुछ रीजन मेंशन नहीं किए हैं, पर उनको भी दिक्कत है।
ठीक है, सो दिस इज अनदर रीजन। आई थिंक वी हैव गॉन इन sufficient depth for 14 marks, right? Yukta, any point from your end?
So like everything is covered, I think.
Okay, Urvaksh?
No, sir.
Okay. Ayush Mantri?
No, sir, no, sir. We've covered almost every point.
Okay. Now there's one more part of the question, which is what? Performance measures for stakeholder groups. अब ये स्टेक होल्डर ग्रुप्स कौन कौन है भाई? गवर्नमेंट ऑफ टी लैंड। द गवर्नमेंट वुड बी कीन टू नो ऑफ एनी फाइनेंशियल प्रॉब्लम्स और डिफिकल्टीज विद द JV, but generally it would belong to segment A, so minimal effort should be expended. Roan Teachers Trade Union. The Teachers Trade Union power could be high as it has the backing to recommend to the management of Roan that Roan employees will not travel or teach at RSU. If Roan can recruit local staff for RSU, the power and interest of the trade union will both be low, as there will be little or no need for its involvement. If Roan cannot recruit local staff, then the power and interest of trade union will both be high, and it will fall into category D of being a key player. And trade union being your key player means बहुत नाक में दम करके रखेगा। प्रेशर ग्रुप इन टीलैंड, इनको तो कोई काम भी नहीं है। द ग्रुप हैज अ वेरी हाई लेवल ऑफ इंटरेस्ट इन JV एंड इट्स पावर may be determined by its size. If it grows significantly, then its power may become high. Also, for may become high also. For the present, its power is likely to be low, so the group will fall into category B. Keep informed. पूछा क्या है? Performance measures for stakeholder group. Roan has undertaken an analysis of stakeholders using Mendelow's matrix. Part of this work is supplied in Appendix 1, along with justifications for categorization of the three stakeholder groups. For each of the three stakeholder groups, the management would like you to justify an appropriate performance measure which could be used by Roan. Now, see, this is the difference between SBL and APM. SBL में ना कैसे भी क्लासिफाई करो, कहीं पे भी डालो, किसी को फर्क नहीं पड़ता. The examiner also doesn't care, and you can literally faff your way around stuff. But here, it's not going to be so easy. First of all, they are asking you a very specific question. Ki, what is it that the two stakeholder, what is it that the three stakeholder groups are looking at, and what would be an appropriate performance measure for them? ठीक है. So you will have to थोड़ा सा think about it in the right way. What do you think should be the case for government of Teeland? बताना तो.
High power, low interest.
Okay, one more thing. Are they asking you to justify the classification, or are they only asking you to
No,
justify
sir.
an appropriate performance measure? Classification को challenge नहीं करना है.
So they don't have any problem with the
But
classification, and neither should we. We just have to give the performance measure. और जितना
But
पूछा है
but
उतना
but
करेंगे।
but part of Roan has undertaken an analysis of its stakeholders. Part of this work is supplied in Appendix 1 along with justification for categorization of stakeholder group. So justification उन्होंने दे दिया है. ठीक है. So we are not supposed to justify the classification. We are supposed to justify an appropriate performance measure. So if government of Teeland is present as one of the stakeholders, उसका focus क्या है? The government of Teeland is showing interest if only if there is a major financial failure, right? And when would that happen? If there is a financial default or overspending, or there is a scandal involving Roan's staff while working in Teeland, right? What are the possible measures that they can look at? So I think one would be, see, where financial viability or financial continuity is, a focus point for you, then just having cash surplus in the uni setup would confirm to the government of Thailand that the university is unlikely to fail. है ना? You could also bring in long-term liquidity measures and maybe just some debt related ratios that could solve your problem. Proportion of debt in your overall capital structure, if that remains sustainable, then I think the government is not too keen on creating problems for you. What do you think, Urvaksh? Is that the case?
I mean, their level of power interest will be low as long as everything is going good. But they would interfere if supposing uh, the venture is not utilizing its
Hmm.
funds properly. They might decide eventually to shut down because it is improper use of funds. So they have that power to shut down the venture.
But is that mentioned anywhere that something like this might happen, or are they interested in how the funds are utilized, or are they interested in are there enough funds? What is their focus right now? They're talking about financial problems or difficulties, right?
Mm.
Your point is fair, but that point is fair when you are expanding your thinking horizons and trying to look at everything. But here the focus only has to be the data given in the question. है ना? So
Okay.
you are not wrong, but what you are saying is not exactly relevant in this question. Government of Thailand. Let's see what is the government of Thailand interested in. Uh, Likely to show interest only if there is a major failure, है ना? Likely to show interest, as you correctly pointed out, only if there is major financial failure. और किसी चीज में इंटरेस्ट है? No. Financial problems and difficulties is what they are interested in. So, for them, what are the possible measures for government of Thailand? Cash surplus, है ना? Simple liquidity indicator, simple liquidity indicator to reassure government of financial solvency in the short term. Then another indicator could be proportion of debt in Roan's overall capital structure, proportion of debt in Roan's overall capital structure, correct? As long as it is sustainable and within acceptable limits, the government of Thailand will uh, the government of Thailand will be satisfied. ठीक है? Because see, they are interested in financial health, not educational success. यहाँ पे I can write that down. Interested in financial health, not educational success. ठीक है? Now look at the next one.
So, one more performance measure, one important performance measure could be the number of students enrolling
Hmm.
and average fees per student.
For the
So,
government.
yes, sir.
Why is
Sir,
that?
because government of Thailand is only, only caring about the financial perspective of the university. Uh, I think the number of students is a direct indicator of the revenue growth?
No, 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 no. Who says? They are also exploring alternative revenue streams ना. उनका main focus क्या है? You should have enough cash. Now, how you get that cash is your lookout, right? Don't go overboard. Don't over explain. What you
Okay.
are saying is a good financial performance indicator, but this part of the question does not expect you to explain how that surplus cash will be generated, right? This part of the question is only asking you possible. So, what they are interested in is financial health, not educational success. How do you see financial health? By having enough cash and by ensuring that the proportion of debt in the capital structure does not exceed a particular limit. Now, how you take care of that, whether you enroll more students or you run a canteen on your premises, that is up to you. They don't care about that.
Okay.
Or
Makes
rather,
sense.
this part of the answer shouldn't worry about that particular part. Otherwise, again, you end up over explaining, which is something you shouldn't do. Try to stay seated to the part of the answer that you are answering. आपको जो additional अपने life में करने को लगता है, when you do an MBA, do that. Not in APM paper. You will end up a losing time, possibly also losing marks, because ACCA rewards you for sticking to facts of the case. ACCA will they deduct marks if if you are going overboard and writing things that you feel should be the right way. So please avoid that. ठीक है, इसको देखो. रोन, विच इज वाई आयुष आई एम टेलिंग यू, खुद से आंसर अगर लिखने बैठोगे तो यू विल राइट वॉट यू थिंक इज राइट. Which is why I have told you, look at my answers in the recording first and then start framing your own answers. Otherwise, by the time you have done three questions on your own, you have developed a thought process which you think is right, and you will not look at how I have framed the answers. And again, that will be your undoing in the APM paper. Please don't let that happen. ठीक है.
Okay.
सेकंड पार्ट देखो. रोन टीचर्स ट्रेड यूनियन, उनका प्रॉब्लम क्या है लाइफ में? व्हाट डज द ट्रेड
In-
यूनियन वरी अबाउट?
Inconvenience.
यस. सो बेसिकली, हाउ द जॉइंट वेंचर अफेक्ट्स द रोन यूनिवर्सिटी स्टाफ, राइट?
Yeah.
इफ यू, अच्छा, दीज पीपल, डू दे हैव हाई इंटरेस्ट? Yes, of course. Do they have high power in this situation?
Yes. Yes, they do.
So, what according to you would be, what could you do? What is the question? Performance measure for this stakeholder group, Roan Teacher Trade Union. इनके लिए what will be the appropriate performance measure? What else does the union monitor? देखो तो, read this para. See if there is anything else that the union does.
So they negotiate uh, on the behalf of teachers
Okay,
with the management.
okay. Roan's teaching staff have voiced concerns about the extensive travel involved to teach at RSU, and have also indicated that their work at Roan is likely to suffer if they teach at RSU. Similarly, they feel that they would not be able to effectively undertake their teaching duties, research activities, or supervision of students at Roan. Negotiations are currently taking place between Teachers Trade Union, which Roan's staff belong to, and management at Roan, which could result in all Roan's teaching staff refusing to teach at RSU. ठीक है. उनका प्रॉब्लम है कि हमें वहां पे जाके नहीं पढ़ाना है, इन सिंपल टर्म्स. सी, व्हाट दे आर इंटरेस्टेड इन इज द नंबर ऑफ प्रोग्राम्स और कोर्सेज दैट आर बीइंग ऑफर्ड इन आरएसयू. जितने ज्यादा प्रोग्राम्स होंगे एट आरएसयू, द मोर लाइकली दैट रोन स्टाफ विल हैव टू गो देयर, because they will be required by their employer to teach and deal and write. If there are fewer courses, that means there is a possibility that local teachers could be appointed who could do the job. है ना? So if more courses are offered, then naturally teachers from this country will have to go to the other country. ठीक है? Yes, tell me.
Sir, in this specific question,
Hmm?
are we giving them performance measures for the teachers or the trade union? We're focusing on the trade union, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so uh, So the most obvious performance measure could be the number of demands that the teachers had, out of which how many have been fulfilled.
How is that a performance measure? The question is, board wants you to frame performance measure for the stakeholder group. ठीक है?
Correct.
Now, ये जो टीचर्स ट्रेड यूनियन है, it is negotiating on behalf of the staff, right? So it's a collective set of, it's basically a collection of all the staff members, right? And this trade union, uska basic problem, as you mentioned at the beginning, is the inconvenience. And
Correct.
that inconvenience is stemming from what? That inconvenience is stemming from the fact that more and more teachers will be required at RSU. है ना?
Hmm.
More and more teachers will be required at RSU. And naturally, when will you when will you require more and more teachers at RSU? When you have more and more courses at RSU, right? Now, have they in any way suggested that please bring in your own staff to Dealand or to Sao University? ऐसा कहीं पे mention किया है कि bring your own staff and we don't want to be a part of this?
As in,
As in the question, have they mentioned anywhere that instead of us going to the other country, why don't you hire people from that country to do the job? ऐसा कहीं पे लिखा है?
yes, sir.
कहाँ पे लिखा है बताइए?
Sir, third paragraph,
हम्म
uh, second line.
हम्म
Uh, uh, Ron would prefer to recruit local staff to undertake teaching at.
Right. So Sao is saying you send your people. Roan is saying why don't you take people from your country itself?
Hmm.
And what is the deciding factor between uh, which staff member goes? Now, see, Sao is a university which is focusing on academic excellence, right? So if it is a university focusing on academic excellence, naturally, it would want expert professors or expert faculties to come and do the job. And
Sir,
we say that, let me complete. Can we say that if it is a university which focuses on high quality academic output, it would want expert faculties to come and do the job. And if it is keen that Roan should send its home based staff, Roan is a university which is in a developed country. यहाँ पे लिखा है ना, it is a university in a developed country, which means it is likely to have or it will have more of expert faculties as compared to the other university. So the reason why Sao is focusing on Roan University sending its home-based staff is because they believe that the faculties there have a better expertise which can get the job done. So again, the reason why this is happening is because they have divergent goals. Roan is saying that, why don't you hire locally? Because, that will lead to a cheaper cost. Now, here, see, the reason why we are linking so many points together is because they have specifically asked for a performance measure, right? And when they say suggest a performance measure, what exactly are you doing? Now, this Roan teachers trade union, ठीक है, their power could be high as if it has the backing to recommend to the management of Roan that Roan employees will not travel. If Roan can recruit local staff, the power and interest of the trade union will both be low as there will be little or no need for its involvement. If Roan cannot recruit local staff, then the power and interest of the trade union will both be high and it will fall into category D. अब ये जो ट्रेड यूनियन है, ट्रेड यूनियन इज specifically focused on ensuring that the staff members should not be sent to the other country, and the decision to send the staff members to the other country depends on two things: a, the expertise that is required for the courses to be delivered, and b, the number of courses that are delivered at the other university. If you don't have so many courses, then then there won't be a requirement of so much expertise, and when you don't have requirement of that much expertise, you can be okay with sending fewer number of your employees to the other country. Number of complaints versus complaints resolved is a very PM level answer, because यहाँ पे complaint एक ही है ना, complaint बहुत सारे trade union, while it might be handling a lot of issues, here it doesn't appear to be a case of trade union handling multiple issues. ना एक ही problem है. तो if you want to keep them happy, ठीक है, if they are likely to become key players or something like that, and you want to make sure that they don't step into that category, what would be the basic parameter to ensure that they don't step into that category? वो किस reason से शांत होंगे? By giving these particular outcomes or by focusing on these particular parameters. Now you say whatever you have to say.
तो मैं तो ये बोल रहा था, आवाज कट गई थी थोड़ी सी, तो मुझे आधा पॉइंट नहीं सुनाई दिया था, बट ठीक है, नाउ आई गेट इट।
Okay.
Can we suggest the number of programs that will require the expertise? So according to that, the teachers' trade union may get an idea, and they can recruit some, they can bring the Rowan staff.
Yeah, so basically
And
again it boils down to the same point, right? Number of programs and expertise required, है ना?
hmm,
Fair enough. So, trade union. Let's describe that trade union. What's the focus? Trade union focus. Want the least possible number of Roan employees to be sent to Dealand. ठीक है. Now, number of, अच्छा, थोड़ा सा इसको डिस्क्राइब करते हैं. For explanation, not necessary to include in the final answer. ठीक है. So focuses on quality education. Reason it wants Roan staff to come and teach is because it believes that the programs can be taught by expert staff which only Roan has. ठीक है. Roan, on the other hand, is looking at cost control, which is basically a financial metric. Again, focus is divergent. You don't have to include this in the final answer. I'm putting it in italics specifically. ठीक है. इसका solution क्या होगा? What is the possible measure if less courses and if less courses are run by RSU, the requirement for expert staff will be lower. That means lesser staff members would be required to be sent to RSU. So इसके लिए what is the performance measure? Number of programs or courses that are being offered to RSU. ठीक है. So measure is number of courses offered at RSU. Now, honestly, this part of the question is quite tricky because आपको इसमें actually दिमाग लगाना पड़ेगा, and Unfortunately, the way we apply in SBR AFM ATX कि ये situation होगा तो ऐसे ही करना है. If it is a foreign exchange future, then these are the steps that you have to do, and this is the only approach that works. Nothing else, would be working here. So again, the point is कि यहाँ पे जब आपको दिमाग लगाना है तो you will have to think about everything. Otherwise ना your answer will lack that kick and you will not get marks. तो थोड़ा एपीएम के पेपर में सोच के लिखना. ठीक है. लास्ट थिंग इज पब्लिक प्रेशर ग्रुप इन टीलैंड. इनको क्या प्रॉब्लम है लाइफ में? पब्लिक प्रेशर ग्रुप क्या कर
इनके
रहा
बच्चों पे ध्यान नहीं दिया जा रहा है सर।
है? वेरी गुड. सो क्या करेंगे?
तो इनको बताओ कि हमारे टीचर्स कितना, द परफॉर्मेंस मेजर इज वेरी सिंपल,
हम्म.
दैट द नंबर ऑफ maybe hours spent by the teachers
हम्म.
specifically on Roan University students,
हम्म.
and so that can be the possible, uh, what you call a performance measure, that number of hours spent or number of activities given or the engagement level of students and teaching staff of Ron University
हम्म.
specifically.
हम्म.
तो आइडियली ये होना चाहिए।
ओके. So how much time is being spent by staff of Roan University on students of Roan University instead of students at RSU? Correct?
यस सर।
ये तो बड़े इंडियन प्रॉब्लम्स है यार इनके.
एक्चुअली सर, आई रेड द क्वेश्चन, आई वाज लाइक बेसिकली ये बोल रहा है कि पैसे हम भर रहे हैं तो हमारे बच्चों को पढ़ाओ।
Very good. So, measure is how much time is being spent by Roan staff on catering to Roan students. This is the measure that you are essentially looking at. इसको of course you will have to expand थोड़ा सा, but जितना ज्यादा time you will spend उतना ज्यादा they will be satisfied. There is nothing else that they would want. ठीक है. Anything else in your opinion? थोड़ा सा मतलब अलग टाइप का क्वेश्चन है, and all the more reason for us to have discussed that in the class. ठीक है.